The Four Beardsmen of the Apocalypse.
Hello.
Hello.
Howdy.
Welcome.
Everyone.
Good morning
Welcome
and
back.
evening.
Yes, wherever you are. Is it morning? Is it evening? We don't know. If you're watching this on catch up, it could be any time.
True.
Well, here
It
it's
might be
4
2
p.m.
a.m. Oh, 4 p.m. That's not
Good
too
morning
bad.
from tomorrow.
There, yeah. Tell us how the future looks.
That's slightly cloudy, but warm.
You're not even in the same season. Like here, like all the leaves are turning. It's getting
Yeah.
colder, and you're just warming up.
It's
Mhm.
getting hotter and I've got lots of hay fever. So it's like, I'm trying not to
I mean,
sneeze.
I'm in Ottawa, Canada, so we're past the leaf. Now it's snow. We finally got our first major snowfall, and that's all we're seeing now. Yeah.
How much snow will you get? How many months of straight snow?
Apparently, this year is supposed to be even worse. And the last few years, we've gone into May with still snow. So, yeah.
We had it snowed in Atlanta, which is just west of me. Last week it snowed in Atlanta in November, which is certainly signs of the end time. It didn't stick, but it did snow.
Yeah. When I tell you it snows, then we're.
That's when I start worrying. Yeah, exactly.
It does snow about 2 hours from Sydney up in the mountains. It can snow a little bit when it gets very cold, but it doesn't hang around for very long. We don't get it doesn't.
Feet.
It's not there for days.
We don't
If you go
even.
down, there are ski fields further south where it does snow, people ski and stuff, but not to the.
That's
same
funny.
extent.
That would be an experience, skiing in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you got to go south to find snow here around here.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, the further south you go, the colder it gets, and
It's wild.
yeah, well, the other
That
way
makes sense.
upside down. So there we go.
That's crazy. But then it's Australia. Like, surely there's the sort of added hazard of like the animals. Like, I'm picturing. Remember that Yeti game, like in the 90s?
Yep. I don't know about it yet. I mean, the only thing is in winter the snakes aren't about because they all hibernate and stuff, so that's good.
Snow is
but yeah,
venomous, though, right?
Yeah. So there's nothing too venomous in winter. Winter should be fairly safe. There'll still be kangaroos and.
I was going to say, now I'm picturing kangaroos while I'm snowboarding.
Yeah. You can get that, and fat little the wombats, the ones that bury underground, they're little mini bears almost. They're quite. Trying to describe West Chris here, you can imagine when the first explorers arrived here, and obviously the native people knew all about it, but they were going, "What the fuck is this?"
Oh man,
you can imagine. Yeah,
I've got to just make a little announcement if it's all right. So, Mr. Thomas Evans, who's in the chat, I'm drinking chocolate maple stout in honor of you because I've been thinking about ever since you came on the show, and now I've got one. So, thumbs up.
So this is always unfair because you guys get to have awesome beers, and if I have awesome beers now, it's a sign of a drinking problem. So
yeah. Holiday.
Well, hey, Christmas episode, I'll make an exception.
Nice.
There you go. Yeah, that sounded good. What? Okay, you said maple. No, describe it again.
A chocolate maple stout.
Chocolate maple stout. That's like the Canadian dream. That's delicious. I need to know what this is.
By Northern Monk.
Ooh, okay.
Who hopefully will sponsor us and send us stout.
Likely.
Free beer.
I also love Northern Monk.
Yes. It's gotten me through many hardships in my life.
We recognize there are many beers available, but we only drink Northern Monk.
Somehow I imagine shipping costs might be a problem, Charlie.
For Charlie, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's minor details. Yeah.
It's just showing off.
Yeah, yes.
Coffee porter.
Good porters and stouts are to
we did. There's some good ones. There's a couple of good actually on next month. We have an annual sort of catch up with mates. We're going to this place called Four Pines in Manly, which is on the beach there, and that they make all their own beers, and they've got a powerful one called a nitro stout, which is good. But yeah, I'll have to come live from there to give you guys a taster of what it is.
Very cool.
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
I'm just
early in the evening, because otherwise you go, good evening.
We have a pub here in Ottawa, Pub Italia it's called. The myth they created around is that it was built where a convent used to be here in the city. And so they kept religious themes. They bought like a whole bunch of stained glass and filled that in those, and it has like Bible related memorabilia all around.
Yeah.
And then they have a beer Bible. And so you open that up and there's hundreds, like anything you can think of. It's just, it's the weirdest experience ever, because you go there and you get plastered with like Mary and baby Jesus looking over you. So good. And yeah, like they had so many different stouts, so many different porters. They had one German beer. I forget the name. It was something like 14% alcohol. Yeah. And the one time I tried it, it was delicious, but it was like drinking molasses, and you smelled I smelled like molasses for the next 2 days. Showers be damned.
I once had a 19%.
Oh
God, that's hardly beer anymore.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It really didn't taste like beer. It was like it's just a bottle, and I picked it up from like one of these shops that does all specialty beers, but sounds like that place Tim was described, but it's more like a warehouse type place you go. And they had hundreds of stuff, and I just picked up on the name. It was for cheap, and oh my God, like eventually I drank it, but it was like just wiped it. You couldn't be on that for very long.
That's 4 beers.
Yeah,
like 4 beers in one. So you get you smashed pretty quick.
Yeah. Or back to bed pretty quick.
Yeah. I think bed did follow pretty soon after. I think.
Pretty sure that was my 3rd drink of the night too. So that was.
Oh wow.
So 2 days smelling of molasses, being unproductive. It sounds like.
Worth it. Christopher has it right here.
We've got a question for you, Tim.
Yeah.
Have you ever written a book?
I think in my mind at least. I'm not actually sure if it got out there, but I mean, I have now. I get technically 5.
It's the old cover, but
there you go. Yeah, that's the OG cover.
Dang, the arc too.
Yeah.
Or whatever it's called, author proof.
Yeah, there you go. I still have I need to get myself my own copy here, but there's my proof of the.
He was very kind to send me this one, which is.
I love the little band across it. That's funny.
That's how you feel legit. Although, okay, so back then, quick tangent, but there was a time where if it was before the launch, you could only get copies with the band like that. But now, if you schedule, you can get author copies well before the launch, which is just a total game changer. And I wish they had that when I first started publishing books, so I could send copies without this stupid not for resale banner. It always feels terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, I wouldn't resell it anyway, because there's like a band of.
It's the OG. Yeah, you have the original cover. Yeah.
That's a lot of beers.
I'm trying to display mine a little bit.
Guys, I'm blocking my own. There you go. This is shorter than it was a few weeks ago.
I thought you were going to display your original Tim McKay, The Fall of Selvandrea cover, but no, you're just bearding over the microphone.
Just bearding off.
I mean, I have that too, but
I remember like it seemed like quite not a big step for you, but I remember the cover change. I mean, how did that come about? Like, why did you decide to change the cover? I mean, the original
the whole book has it like was a long process, because originally I had in mind 6 shorter books, and so I published the first 2, and very quickly kind of realized I need to publish a more complete arc together. It's just not the best fit to market the way I was doing it. So I took the first 2 down, expanded both, wrote the 3rd part, and put those all together. And that's what I published as The Fall of Selvandrea. And I wanted to do it with an illustrated cover. I had an artist, a very good artist in mind. Someone here has that same artist. But the timeline was a year and a half in the future.
Oh, Felix.
Yeah, exactly. You did.
Say no more.
and I mean, very like fair price, because he's amazing.
Yeah.
But more than I was ready to pay at the time. And so, but that was still the plan. So in my mind, I was going to go with him, but I'm not a patient person. So I got the OG cover done. and kind of figured I'll publish it now and switch it to the new cover when we're able to do that. But that was around the time when I decided to throw in my black and white illustrations by Joe Requesa. So like flip this open. There we go. Very good ones, man. Yeah. So I got 3 of those done by Joe Requesa, and he did those one exceptionally fast. And it was so fun watching the process. He sends me the progress pics and I give feedback, and just the back and forth was super fun, very affordable. And so at some point in that process, I'm thinking I should just ask him how much he charges for his cover and what his timeline would be. And he said, "Oh, I can do that next month." And he told me his price, and it was remarkably cheap, still fair, but less than Felix. And ultimately, so I kind of messaged back and forth with Felix a bit, and I said, I think I'm going to have to, go with, because and Joe's amazing too. It was just a good fit.
What year was that?
So that would have been 2024.
Okay, because when I got with Felix toward the end of this was around I guess it was around 2021. Now that I think about it, I had the cover for a solid year before I was ready to publish.
Wow.
So what I paid was, I'm not going to say it was before he popped off, but I guess he hadn't done anything with Malazan yet. And he hadn't, and he was, I'm not even going to say he was on the cutting edge, but he was, he wasn't new, but he was, I guess, a big enough name to where while we were working toward the end, he was like, "Do me a solid. Don't mention what you paid. My rates have gone up." And I said, "Okay, no problem."
Yeah.
Well, now it's time for book 2.
Yeah.
And I want the same artist for the cover.
Yeah.
And you have often told us how cheap you are as well.
Oh, I'm hella fucking cheap, dude. And I blew 10 years worth of band earnings to pay for this book.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't been another 10 years yet, and hopefully it won't before book 2 is ready. Meaning the coffers are not what I'd like for them to be, but I'm going to do what it takes. So he and I are in discussions, and yes, it's roughly double what I spent on this one, but I love it, and I need it. I need the same cover for book 2. Yeah. If I couldn't afford him for book 2, I would have to buy another book 1. Yeah. Just so that they match. So they match on a shelf, Yeah.
I'm very much in the same spot. So I mean, so even with that one, I put it out with the original cover, and then I put it out with the original cover, and then it was about 4 months later, because by then, just before the launch was when I started talking to Joe. And so by the time I commissioned him, and then he got the cover done, a few little final steps, and it was ready to go by December. So it was about 3 months later that I relaunched it with the new cover, and then it blew up. That was wild to see.
That's making me think the best time to catching a good up and coming artist is like catching the perfect wave on the ocean.
Yeah.
If you wait too long, they're going to be booked out till next year or 2 years, and they're going to cost an arm and a leg. If you go too early, they don't have a body of work to represent themselves. You don't know what you're getting. You might get any old, whoever.
Yeah, I got very lucky with Joe in that regard. And it's funny because now his prices are steadily climbing, and he is getting tons more.
Yeah.
But even I reached out to him to get a black and white illustration done for book 2, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll do that. I think he did that one even sooner than the others. He did that like the next week. It was ridiculous. I love the guy. But then I talked to someone else who he made wait 6 months, and I was like, well, I'm just special. So so I'm fingers crossed we just really like each other, and that'll keep happening. But if it doesn't, I'm okay with that too. I will, I might even do a Kickstarter for the next one, because same thing. I want to make sure I'm consistent.
I'm not above a Kickstarter either. But God, that's a lot of work and a lot of stress and a lot of stuff.
Well, I'm going to cut corners with that. I have no intention of overextending myself. Like, I'm just going to do digital only. The nice thing is I do my own audiobooks, so I can order. I can offer both. I
saw that you do.
Yeah, ebooks and audiobooks together. That's what I'll do for my 2 different tiers. Book 2, both together. Second tier will be books 1 and 2 together, ebook and audio. And then I might do some like I have ideas. This would be next year's, probably like mid 2026, but I'm very strongly considering doing it. I think bringing the extra cash. Yeah.
Yeah, I think my funds situation will dictate, and I'm not going to have an exorbitant amount, probably enough to pay for the copy editor or just the editor themselves. Because honestly, at this point, that's still a question mark. Luckily, it's not soon yet. You've mentioned two things we've talked about so far that I could run off on tangents on. To close the first one, I also saw, I think Goodreads said 5 books. I was wondering if, I guess I'm going to assume Rise of Dreska and Seas of Zova were what you then incorporated back into Fall of.
Yeah, so those are parts 1 and part 2 of the Fall of Selvandrea, and then part 3 I just titled The Fall of Selvar.
So then, is that the now? And listen, my professional research takes me far and wide across the internet.
Yeah.
Medium.com. I don't have an account on, so I was limited in how far I could go on it. But I did observe, and I then remembered seeing. I think I saw you talk about this on Twitter in the past couple of years. Retyping a 170,000 word novel.
Oh yeah.
Beginning to end.
Yeah. Was
that the one?
Yeah. So I did that for the Fall of Selvandrea.
Okay.
So all 3 parts. And again,
I assume it's for like just to make them all a cohesive and very consistent style and things like that, but also to look for upgrades you can make.
Less than
you just couldn't find the files, so
right?
It was from memory.
You had to save the files properly, so it's like
just lost the Google Docs password. Dang it.
Yeah. Oh, that's my I think that's every author's nightmare, but I triplicate everything just to make sure
I do too.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
No, I mean, what I do, and I've now made that part of my editing process. So I've done that again. I did that again for Skfold, and I actually nice. And I did that again for The Father, Shadow, and Death.
Both beautiful.
Yeah, I love these two. This is just by get covers, So
really?
What I may do, I don't think I'll have to. Things are going well enough, and that whether or not I do the Kickstarter, I'm fairly certain I'll be able to order the cover for the next book. But like with Joe Urquiza, but I may still get a cover like that done for part 2. Not necessarily as a backup, but maybe even as an arc, just to get physical copies into people's hands who want that. Anyways, that's a whole tangent. But as far as anyways, just other things. So the point is, with retyping, I have just found that it mostly helps to find those little tricky things that are. I was talking about this on another show, I think just 2 days ago. Something as simple as titled instead of tilted, right? Little things that are really easy that you'll read over. Even editors and beta readers, no one caught something like that in a book where I didn't do this. But what happens is, so I'll open a separate document on a new screen, and then I have the old document in front of me, and I'm retyping in a new document that I'll never use because you introduce way too many new errors when you're retyping. It's a disaster waiting to happen.
Okay.
But what happens is, because I'm looking so closely at everything on the page, I will catch things that I miss otherwise. And so I make the corrections in the old doc, but I keep retyping in the new doc. And for whatever reason, it's just an extra layer of defense for my brain. It immerses you really deeply back into the story.
Cool.
So I found it just a really good way to re-engage with it. So sometimes it led to story changes where I'd be like, oh, you know what? That doesn't really belong here. Or, oh, I can trim that, but that was kind of a secondary benefit. Like the main benefit was just catching things I would otherwise miss.
I bet your word output on a day like that is in the freaking 5 figures too.
Oh yeah. That's the thing. You're just retyping what you already did. So it's just, very quick, much quicker than the original writing.
100%. Linguistic.
Yes, that's a big one too. Yeah, so something as simple as
linguistic echoes,
like same phrase reappearing, or even 2 sentences in a row with the same word. And you're like,
I hate. I've been listening to an audiobook, and yes, I hear some of that. It's. I don't remember if it's trad or indie, but there was like a paragraph that had 3 blah da da as he blah da da blah da da as he blah da da blah 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 as he. I'm like,
yeah,
can't you fucking hear? Did you not read it? You know,
yeah.
No, and they of course they read it. They contemplated each line and they came up with the perfect one and never observed that 3 times back to back in the same paragraph had the same style of sentence.
As addiction, I call that particular one as addiction, and that used to get me, and I catch it now, and I'm like, oh no. And now I see what everyone else is writing. It's brutal.
Toward the end of, I know this. Toward the end of V&V, when I'm getting more editorial and less forging, I will find some phrases because I start to think technically, like, what will I search? You know, and so it'll probably be comma space as quotation marks comma space as just to see, because that should determine, that should bring up that you can't just search as that would pull up assassination and everything else under the sun and plenty of innocent bystanders as well. But I started thinking toward the end, I'll start thinking like that. What are my obvious fucking sins that need to be stamped out?
I have a search list and I go through it at the end of every draft, and I'll catch one. It's so brutal. You never stop making the same dumb one.
No. Well, but if you can come up with a repository like it sounds like you have, then just a final checklist of sorts, which I'll pull my one from book 1 back, because I'm sure I commit the same crap now that I did for it.
Yeah. Well, it's something I think.
Go on, Charlie.
Well? No, you go, David.
I do the old, because I write on Word, and I do the read aloud sort of system. And even though it's an awful robotic voice.
Yeah, but still.
The amount of sins, like I will literally write something and then I'll go like, I'm going to do it because this is my habit, but that's absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with that paragraph whatsoever. I press play and like the first word is like,
well, see, I can't
how much you catch.
My problem is I can't stand that voice, even though I know how useful that is. So my workaround was to start doing my audiobooks, because what I'll do is I'll record. I won't necessarily have it edited by the time I publish the audio. I mean, but I will for sure have already recorded it and listened back to it, and that's how I get around that, because I can't stand automated voice.
On that, when I had beta readers or test readers. Then I eventually had a developmental editor, and then I had a copy editor, and then I had some ARC readers, and then it went into production. And in every step, especially the ARC reader, she found every last one of them. And it's a big book. It's 280,000. Of course, there's going to be errors. Every one of them found stuff to the point where finally, and as an indie published author, you can fix it real easy. You just go into the document, fix it, upload a new document. Within a day, it's solved.
Yeah.
So then a couple months later, I had gotten into the audiobook part of it. And now I am not doing my own. I almost did, because again, I'm cheap and I couldn't find somebody I liked. I even made a little studio in the attic. It was going to be fucking hell. It was going to be 100 degrees in there in the summertime, probably. But soundproof. It was nice. I had, this thing was set up and all that. But while I would listen to John's, him reading it or him narrating, at some point, like I would kind of like zone out, and I would or not zone out, just kind of get immersed. And I'd be like, my eyes would be shut and I'm listening to every single word. And then he would say something clearly erroneous, and I'd jerk out and be like, you motherfucker. And I'd open the book. Not him, my fault. He found another, and he read it verbatim.
Yeah.
So I'd be like, God, are you kidding me? Still,
Well, I think it was Douglas when we had Douglas Lumsden, because he does it. He reads it out, or he gets his wife to read it out, and I think that I heard that that verbalizing picks up those errors. So things like we're all doing versions of it to a different degrees. Pick up those errors or pick up that cadence of the language or whatever it might be.
Right.
Yeah. One thing that makes me laugh is I've known some writers that I've either edited for or just been friends with, and we've workshopped each other's writing, but a few friends in particular who they like to say they write the way they speak, which and then you look at what they've written and it's not the way anyone speaks, let alone them. It's so bad and incoherent. And you get them to read out their own writing, and they can't even see it, which is even funnier to me because they would never talk like that out loud.
This sounds like something Steve might do.
This is a very Steve problem. Yeah. So it's not. So there are some people for whom this step does not work. I can confirm that from witnessing it. But for most of us, it is a vital step. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It cracks me up. But yeah, Steve's a troublemaker.
So okay, for your audiobooks, I think I've seen you post about that as well on on Twitter. It's particularly, one that stood out to me was, well, perfect day to do audiobooks except the leaf blowers have come out or something like that. That's got to be fucking annoying where you have no control over productivity.
Yeah. I mean, like, I have a pretty good soundproof space for it. I have, and every time I've done an audiobook, I've upped my game a little, got new software, added some new macros during the editing. Now I have a new setup around my mic that really ups the quality. There's no echo anymore. Like, you know, and that's the goal with any of these things I'm doing, whether it's writing or audiobook or what, you know, you just try to progressively get better. Right.
Yeah.
But, and then something like this happens. You're just like, well, what the hell am I even doing? Like, this was, I think I posted twice, I think, because initially it was just the fact that there were these 7 or 8 guys going around the neighborhood with leaf blowers and just spending forever doing it.
They were outside your window aiming directly at your house. Look at this.
Pretty much.
Let's see what he posts.
Like, I looked out the window at one point and there the guy is just doing his thing. I'm like, are you like it's clear, dude, move on. You know?
You got it.
But then I think, I don't know if you saw the next post, but they finally stopped after about 3 hours. And I thought, okay, great. You know, I did other things for the day. You know, and I did editing work and contest judging. So I had other work to do anyway. But even that was really hard to do with that much noise. There was nowhere in the house that was quiet, like, because it was that loud. And then what they did is they moved most of the leaves from the entire street to a cul-de-sac that's like, I don't know, 10 or 15 houses that way. So there's this massive, like, imagine Canadian winters, there's normally a massive snow mound there, right? And instead of that, they had leaves. And like a snow mound, they brought a truck over and they would scoop a big chunk of it up. Normally, you would bring a larger, you know, truck there and put the leaves in. No. They left the truck on the other side of the freaking neighborhood. So this smaller tractor comes, grabs a pile of leaves, and drives back. And I think they were just trying to waste time. I think they were probably.
I was about to say paid by the hour.
By the hour.
Government.
Yeah. So that lasted another 3 hours. Just hearing this. So it goes over speed bumps that are here too. So you hear this little traffic going on.
I wonder if I don't know what kind of neighborhood it is, but I've lived in a little cul-de-sac where it was a retired cul-de-sac, and the old people were crazy picky about what size trucks came down it because it might mess up the whatever. I wonder if somebody on the block was like, we don't need that big ass truck down here. Y'all need to do something else.
Tim had just upset someone.
Steve is getting on my case. That's what it is.
Steve was tired of you talking about him.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, there's always picky people in certain neighborhoods, but this one I can't explain. I think it was just paid by the hour, wasting time.
So a couple questions about audiobooks. Do you, when you listen back to what you've read, assuming you do you hear words that you pronounce and then go, oh, I gotta take some accent out of that word?
No, I think, like, you don't know what you don't know. So normally my own pronunciations will sound normal to me. So that's why you need a beta listener, because someone else will listen and be like, yo, you've been going your whole life mispronouncing that. And that definitely happened with round 1 of the Fall of Selvandrea. So that's, which is why I'm redoing the whole dang thing right now.
Oh, wow.
That's the sign of a reader, though, sometimes, mispronouncing common words. I have a German friend who one time he was like, we were in college. He was talking about this girl who was too clingy. And I said, she's what? And he said, clingy. And I said,
that's funny.
What does that mean? And I realized he was saying clingy. And I was like, oh, like a clinge on.
when I'm in the middle of it, I'm pretty religious when it comes to like looking up and listening to the pronunciations of any word that I have even the slightest hint of doubt about.
Yeah.
Because especially, I used to speak for a living. It used to be far more. And then I've spent so many years now in academia. And then now I teach now. So I'm back in front of people where if you misspeak, someone will correct you. Right. But not enough. Like there's still a lot that slips through. And when you discover new words, if you don't look up how to pronounce it, sometimes bad habits start because you just pronounce it phonetically. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm very cautious about that.
I think it would be my accent in general that would have me cringing. So I think I inherited it from my mom. My dad is from Ohio, which is northern. My mom is from Mississippi, which is about as south as you can get. Okay. But she strictly did not speak like the people around her. So all the folks talking down here and stuff, she didn't talk like. She was very deliberate about it. So my household was a very neutral kind of accent to the point where my friends at school all thought I wasn't local my whole life. And when it sneaks out, especially if I've had some alcohol, certain letters, like there, certain things I hear myself say, and it just sounds to me, it sounds.
David, I'll have to forever imagine Kraus now with a southern accent. So
no, look, when I told John Waters, I said, go Billy the Butcher, and he kind of nailed it. Now he went a little over the top sometimes. I do sometimes prefer a more neutral narrator.
Fair.
But now I this is a bad thing about narrating. When I'm writing scenes, I can hear the fucking voice that dude gave him. And like, I don't want anything except for the old, insanity to influence.
I don't mind that a little bit. Like I mentioned Doug's books before, like I've listened to The Troll Walks into the Barn, and Duffy Webster, I think the name is his narrator, does those voices there. That's now what I think of.
Yeah.
Because it just
so
does it so well.
Charlie, not to derail, not to get off topic. Yeah. Does Kraus's voice does that work for you in the audiobook? Okay.
Definitely.
Cool.
So I had originally hired someone to do mine, and like through ACX, so we were going to do royalty share, and that's a whole other episode where ultimately I think he just bit off more than he could chew, and so it was going to be months past the deadline that he would be anywhere near finishing, so we kind of just parted ways. Very, very amicable, great guy, talented, but same thing where most of his voices I really liked, and I do still hear some of my characters in those. Actually, I even tried to slightly imitate it. I go for more neutral when I'm narrating. I treat it more like this is an author reading. We're sitting around in a bookstore and I'm reading my story to you. That's how I treat it. But there are a few characters where I lean into some of the things I heard him too, because I was like, oh, that's actually really well done. There were others where I'm like, no, and I couldn't get him to stop.
Yeah.
And now I hear some of those voices when I'm seeing that character. I'm like,
I hate that.
That's not it. That's not it.
Yeah. I think he did voice modulation on some of the girls, and he made some of the women characters sound far more effeminate than I ever imagined them. And when we went back and forth several times, I'm like, still too high pitch. He never admitted to using modulate. He never admitted to changing the pitch after the fact, post-processing. But I was like, she doesn't sound like this, dude.
Yeah.
I always love to think of pronunciations because obviously there's difference between the American pronunciation of certain words and
root,
more so than I lived in London and people go, can I get a Leicester Square? And you're going, what? And then no, it's less. But when you look at the word, and there's a great one near just outside or just next to the city in Sydney called Woolloomooloo, which I think it's an Aboriginal word, which has about 8 O's in it. And people go Woolloomooloo, and sometimes you just what you take as obvious pronunciations if you've grown up with it. But I think it comes back to what you said in your head. Like when I first read years ago the Malazan books, I had a different word. I'm not even going to say what the word was. I had a complete different pronunciation at the time, and that was all before social media was as big as it was, and I wasn't involved in the book community, so I didn't really know any better. Like, I just found these great books and I enjoyed them, but I had a completely different. When I was thinking in my head, it was a completely different sort of word. So so I'd say that word. I went, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it helps when you finally hear someone else, or especially the author, say it out loud. But till then,
or even if the author say it one way, then I'll take that. That they should know.
The classic for me, there's a clip of J.R. Tolkien doing the Gollum voice, like years before Andy Serkis did it, and it's so like dead on, and it's amazing.
That would be fun.
I've not heard that.
And he was something it's like a high pitched little elf voice or something, something to destroy us all.
He just kind of does it, like very straight, like you would, Tim, like I'm the author telling my story, then just drop straight into the hello stupid fat herbies, that kind of thing. It's just so effortless for the guy. It's incredible.
Have you heard the clip of him? I haven't.
It's on YouTube.
I haven't heard long clips of him narrating, but I heard one in particular of him narrating the charge of the Rohirrim.
Yes, chills, bro, every time.
And that's him, like that. I listen to that. I'm like, well, damn, what am I even doing? Why am I trying?
I aspire to that now, still, but gosh, I have some grimy characters and such rare opportunities for anybody who's at all to be noble whatsoever. But I do sure love a good rile up for battle.
Yeah. I get nervous writing those because exactly that reason. It can be overdone and
it can be cheesy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Try hard type.
Exactly. Yeah. Which is tough. I mean, just in writing in general, when you're aspiring to the greats that inspired you when you wrote, it can be so easy to catch yourself like, oh, I'm trying a little too hard. I'm gonna sit back and do my own thing, Yeah. Especially early days with your first few books. I'm still in my experimenting phase. Is kind of how I feel about it. So maybe having a little too much fun. I don't know, but I put a heck of a lot of effort into it. But I feel like I'm still. I was talking with Isaac earlier today about this. Like, as indies, we're learning in public in a lot of ways. We come in with different levels of experience beforehand, but once you actually put a book out there, you're still growing, and you don't, even with paid editors and even with beta readers, even with ARC readers, it's still a very condensed period between writing and publishing compared to traditional. So what comes out the other end is maybe just by necessity a bit rougher. You push yourself to meet those standards, and in some ways we do a lot of things better because we have the freedom to do what we want and what a lot of readers want. But that's the trade-off, right? So I at least for me, I'm still learning but that's the fun part, every day, every book is kind of me just doing a new thing, testing some new things I want to experiment with. Hopefully eventually I can bring it all together into something that really stands out, but I kind of like not having too much pressure on it at the moment. That's how I do it.
But I do feel the flip side is with the indie publishing, and I say this to someone who's like, I've had like one short story in an anthology out so far. Like my actual novel isn't out there yet, but you kind of put yourself more out there in the indie space. I feel like when it comes to trad publishing, and obviously I'm not trad published, so maybe I can't comment, but there's almost that buffer. Like you send the book, the moment you're signed up, the agent sold it. It's not your book anymore. Like it goes through to the multiple rounds of edits, proofreads, but it's all out of your hands. You don't really have much of a say, whereas the indie space,
it could be years before it comes out. So
exactly. But like an indie author, you can make the decision to write the book, then put it straight on Amazon. Like you don't have to go through the editing, but the fact that you make the choice to send it to beta readers, to send it to ARC readers, to get a developmental edit, I just feel like you're putting yourself out there more when you publish in this way.
And I mean, this is true for trad authors now as well, but I think more for indies is that your audience has a direct line of contact to you through things like social media, and they are attributing every decision in the book to you, not to your editors or your readers, because you have final say there. Like you said, there's no buffer. So people will reach out to you and be like, "Oh, I really loved this," and you get to say, "Yeah, that was absolutely me." Or they reach out to you and say, "I really did not like that," and you're like, "Well, there's my day gone," you know.
Oh, that was the editor.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I should be saying.
I blame my editor. Tim,
regarding editor? Oh no.
Regarding writing as a work in progress, or even being a writer as a work in progress, I think that plenty of full-time, dozens of book down the road authors, maybe not dozens, Joe Abercrombie, for example, would agree that he too, it's still a work in progress for him. I've seen how he struggles with writing, still not, doesn't dislike it, but he has his challenges still. And I feel it as well at, writing book 2 of this one, which I'm not, I've published 2 books in my entire life, working on the third, then unpublished one, working on we'll call it the second. I try to stay true to it, but I also try to push the craziness. Like if there's anything wild about it or anything that makes it stand out as a book, I try to push that while also not succumbing to influence or not becoming something else or really becoming someone else. Yeah. Meaning there are things that I love about Abercrombie's writing and things that really impressed the shit out of me when I read the First Law trilogy and then the next 3 books that were all the same universe, including The Heroes, which is one of my favorites. I love, especially toward the end, there's a battle scene where we're jumping perspective to perspective. Well, I kind of stuck with that for the entire first book, just jumping heads throughout. But then I will find lines that I wrote where I'm like, that sounds like I was regarding trying too hard. That sounds like I was directly trying to rip off Abercrombie, right? And that I try not to do. So as I've told the fellas a million times, I'm very careful with what I read while I'm drafting, which is unfortunate because I draft for so fucking long. I've been working on this draft for over a year, which means I've been in a bit of a desert as far as books go, or at least kind of not taking in fantasy fiction at all. And the TBR is just growing. We keep interviewing guests whose books I have not yet read because I'm trying to abstain because I don't want to, because I know how impressionable I am. And when something inspires me, it shows on my sleeve,
Yeah, that's a really hard one, is reading something and then not just especially something you like, and not just immediately seeing it in the draft you're working on.
When I read Red Rising, I knew I had to write V&V in present tense, despite that, like, tons of people hate present tense to the point that they won't read it. They'll see it as in present tense and they'll just put it down. I could everything else though sounded terrible. What, Charlie?
It's a good story. I don't care about the tense.
I do too. Same. I feel like a person who enjoys books can look past that sort of thing, and I don't have judgment for people who can't. But
but as a reader, I'm not an author, obviously. So I think you got into all this. You created this wonderful work of art, this doc, and it might just say no, that's the wrong way, or I might not like the story, and that's fine. That's everyone's got their own opinions, but. No, hell no. It's like, I don't get this. I think in some quarters, it's almost like a badge of honor. Like, oh, no, I don't read first person.
Right.
It's just a thing.
I'll read anything if it's written well. If it's a good story, if it's compelling 100%. Prose, interesting. Yeah. So
genre or whatever it is. Like, some things I'm probably missing out in some cases because there's some genre I think, I don't really like that. I'm sure if I tried a good story written in that thing, I'd probably enjoy it. But there's so many books to get through, so it's like,
gosh, indeed.
You can use a tense, like if you do present tense correctly, like it can really build like drama, tension. Like it can be a very powerful vehicle for the story. Like just to dismiss it because you don't like present tense, it's just
it seems shallow. But to each their own. But Red Rising, God, they felt so when it would get tense. I had never felt something quite so tense as like, and then I would pick up another book that was past tense, and I'd be like, "Well, all this already happened. What are we even? Who cares? Clearly, it already happened. Everything is past tense."
Yeah. I think as little as 4, maybe 5 years ago, I was definitely in a place of, for the most part, it was just the way it was. Maybe it's just the genres I was picking, but it was almost all third person past tense. That was the norm. That was just what I was naturally picking at the bookstore or wherever. The indie space has been really big for me, exploring new things. So that's been huge. And now I'm like, back then, as little as 3 or 4 years ago, I would have said, okay, present is okay, but probably not my thing. And now I've read so many, like even just this last month and a half period, I'm judging for Writing Battle. So that's, story competition, and it's 1,000 word stories. And I think in the last month and a half, the last count I saw, I've now judged, I think, about 400 of those. So that's 400,000 words of judging. Everything varies, including things like tense, and some of the present tense ones, especially because these are all horror, dystopia, mystery, or thrillers. A lot of those present tense ones are bangers.
Nice.
They make you feel it, you feel the terror in the moment because you're in the moment with them. Anyway.
I suppose like the lead on question is, we're talking about writing sequels. I mean, what pushes you guys as writers, when you're doing that next book? Like, what's the next challenge that you look for?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat where this sequel, well, I say it's taken longer, but then when I think about the entire process that led to the fall of Selvandrea, that was roughly 2 years. So I should probably just stop beating myself up, because it's only been a year, less than a year for drafting part 2. But yeah, I think like there were daunting elements of, okay, is the continuity clear? Is it, I think for me, I want to write the sequel in such a way that someone new, if someone were to buy just book 2, can they and I like Charlie's read book 1, so it's not an easy read. And that's a lot of the easy feedback, is there's a lot going on, jumping around POVs. It's complex. I don't handhold. I do more in my newer books, because that was one of the pieces of feedback I got a lot. And I was like, you know what? There are ways around that where I don't have to dumb down, but I can give you more to go off of.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten better on that front. I can say, just because the same readers have been saying, okay, yeah, this is hitting home in that area. Anyways.
Yeah.
So that's part of the challenge for me, is how do I stay consistent with book 1, but with these lessons I've learned? How do I continue the story, but also write it in such a way that a new reader could start here and still enjoy it? There's a lot that goes in. I don't know. I feel like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves with sequels, because there's a lot of new elements you have to take into account. And if it's been that long, you as a writer have changed.
Yeah.
So it feels like a totally
That's inevitable.
Yeah. That's my biggest thing right now. I'm even part 1, I finished. So it's going to be another 3-part book. Part 1 I finished. And right around the time I was diving into part 2, I had some major changes in the way I write that just happened. I don't know how to go back. And that's a problem, because part 2 feels different. It's like, well, damn, I guess I'm stuck with this now. And I've tried to edit part 1 to flow better with part 2, and I think I'm getting there. But that's a genuine concern for me, is this going to feel like 3 books in one, but radically different writing style too? Or does it feel like the same voice, the same author, taking you on the story throughout? So I don't know. Yeah, sequels are tough.
Yeah.
Book 1 didn't feel like you're smashing. I mean, I read that and enjoyed, I think I read it coming to you at the time. It was like, whoa, you think you go in a certain story and it does a wonderful job of flipping you around in a direction it wasn't expected, and it's very cool. But yeah.
You're one of the readers who got it. I've had quite a few who are like, whoa. And not just that twist. I know exactly what one you're talking about. Had some who are like, is this character still alive? And I'm like, did I screw up that badly? And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure they're still there. Anyways, things like that.
You just not pay attention.
That's not on me anymore. I thought,
Tim, is the one you're working on? Are you writing? Would you say? Now I know it gets a little complex, because book 1 is 3 books. Book 2 is 3 books.
Essentially 3 parts. Yeah. So it feels like the next.
Will this 3 parts? Will this be a duology or a trilogy, or do you know?
There was that's the funny thing too with doing a sequel, is it was going to be a duology, because I had those initial 6 parts in mind, right? And then I turned that into what I thought was going to be 2 books. Well, now it turns out that part 3 of book 2, so what would have been book 6, now I'm like, no, that's going to be its own 3-part book. So
good grief.
yeah, so it's going to be a trilogy of 9 parts at this point.
Do you find it important that they are roughly the same word count, the 3 releases?
That was something I really wrestled with when I had to make that decision to turn part 3 into its own book, because now I'm like, well, damn, now I'm stuck with this 2-part thing that's a solid 50K shorter. Like, that doesn't work. I worried about that. And then I realized, no, actually there's no, I'm gonna, even with I now have to split what was going to be part 2 into 2 parts. So now it's back to 3 parts, and it's going to be at least 150K. So it just worked out, but I worried about it till it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned because this was supposed to be 2 books, but they were completely separate characters and locations, and I chose to combine them, which is why it's the word count that it is. But that's essentially that's book 1 and 2, and I'm writing book 3 right now as far as the structure goes. But book 1 and 2 are, interspersed. So the one I'm writing now is not going to be close to this length. If this one's 285,000 words, it's going to be closer to 200.
Okay.
And I know as a reader that might disappoint me. I'd be like, I wanted this one to be longer, Yeah. But I feel like that is not a thing that I should put much consideration on at all.
And is like that where the story ends? Does it end at the end of
hard end? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that you're trapped in that case. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't want to I'm not going to fluff it to make the things appealing to a bookshelf. That feels like the wrong motivation.
Yeah.
I think we've got a lot more we consume a lot more films than we do books in general, and we talk about films a lot. And I think there's an influence to make the next film a little bit better, a little bit longer, a little bit more effects, because that over that time frame, technology of effects actually improves.
That's
true.
You naturally get films getting better and better and better, and we think we've got to do that with books, but we don't have some weird technology that's growing, so we are just still using this. So I think you're not writing a movie sequel.
Yeah,
you're right.
At least with the books, you can take a toilet break and not miss anything.
Yeah,
true.
Yeah.
Take them with you.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I suppose just to extend that, you obviously look at the Ryan Cahill books. Like, the more he's doing, the wider and wider these books are getting.
And eventually, crazy. Wasn't the first one a chonker in and of itself?
It was.
It's pretty big.
But the first one just looks tiny compared to the rest of them now.
Right? Isn't he up to like 400 plus, 400 or 500,000 words in a book?
Yeah,
that scares me off. Another thing about that
one, so it's not too bad.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen inside. Formatting can play tricks on you. I've learned that the hard way.
Dude, this should be wider, but I
that's
narrowed
about 460 just to show off. It is signed by the man himself. So.
Nice.
Hey, look at you. I narrowed the margins and reduced the font size and reduced the spacing just because I was reaching the far end of Amazon's thickness limits or whatever.
Fair, yeah.
This should be a bigger book. And some people can't read it because of how small the text is. I really hate that. But the whole time I was doing it, I was like, well, the Bible's way smaller than this. And look how many people have read the Bible.
I like the comparison you went to.
Apt comparison, isn't it?
Yeah. Not quite as much swearing in the Bible, but apart from that, very, very.
That's a good
book even enjoyed the Bible.
For people who enjoy the Bible. I don't know.
Yeah, when I looked at Amazon, it said, if you enjoyed this, that was the first one that came up.
Yeah, imagine that as your book recommendation. You've got.
I've not seen that. I'm surprised I haven't. That seems like a cheap marketing gimmick that a lot of people would have tried by now.
Pretty good.
But that's a good segue. Tim.
Yeah.
And again, I travel a lot across the internet when I'm doing when I'm doing research. I can't remember where all I found references to your past occupations, specifically around the area of 2014 and 2015, I gather.
Yeah.
As a pastor or a youth pastor or both?
Yeah. So, I mean, I went to Bible college straight out of high school. That was about 4 years. And as I was finishing...
Was it called Bible college? Is that what the name that was on the front?
Bible college, yeah, or seminary, but usually seminary refers to more when you're doing like master's level and going more the education, like purely academic route. So we just call it Bible college for everything else, and usually for ministry training. So I mean, you get a bachelor degree and they train you to be a pastor, and you go from there. So while I was finishing that, I got asked to step in first as to fill in as a youth pastor, because their youth at the church near the college, because their youth pastor was away doing an internship kind of thing. And then they got me to stay on as kind of just an assistant pastor for the church in general. So I was preaching on Sundays sometimes. I was helping out with kids ministry, things like that. So I was technically already in ministry even before I left Bible college. And then I went to Montreal and I was a youth pastor initially. They got me to start doing the young adults as well. So that's like ministry groups for up to, 30 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
I was doing preteens as well on Sundays, sometimes preaching on Sunday or helping out odds and ends here and there. Yeah, it was I was also helping with like interdenominational citywide events. So that was wild. It was a very, very packed, busy 2 years of my life for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just made me think of Morgan Shank, who's also he's been in.
Yeah, he's gone back to seminary, hasn't he?
Seminary. Yeah, I don't know if he's in it currently. He might be.
I thought I'd read he posted that he was going back to studies. I don't know.
I was going to say studies. I thought, yeah.
That's interesting. Does that Did you and also may I just mention the Four Beardsmen of the book Apocalypse have no judgment toward anyone for any sort of religious belief or lack thereof. So none of this is I'm from Georgia. So there's
we insult everyone equally. We insult everybody equally.
You can't throw a rock down here and not hit a church where I'm at. I'm in the Bible Belt. So I've been to and probably played bass guitar at every denomination we have to offer down here. So again, was there something? Do you still use that degree, or what made
that is the most diplomatic way I have heard that.
What happened? That's not what I mean.
Okay, yeah, I mean the short answer is
how much do you use that degree?
Yeah, that's a parent. I thought you were going to call me a parent question, a dad question.
That's peak level of diplomatically saying, so where are you at? I love that. That's actually really good. No, I mean, I left on very good terms, but ultimately realized it was not for me on many different levels. That's the short explanation. There was also family stuff going on back here, and I wanted to be back here for some of that. So it just kind of worked out, as dark as that sounds, that I knew I needed to be here, and I was really at a place of, one, this doesn't seem for me. I was good at it. In some ways I enjoyed it, but in other ways I realized long term, this is going to drain my soul, and to just stopped believing a lot of it. Yeah, well, all of it. So that's in a nutshell. That's kind of a key factor.
That's 2015. I had a little turn myself, and things shifted. I won't go into any detail, but whether or not I believed then or before or now or after, whatever, I still play bass guitar in a church now. I just like playing bass guitar between them. And I love
music in churches is still pretty darn good. So
I know that some like pastors or some people that are in the ministry, they get burned out. They either by just the conglomerate or the accumulation of other people's woes that they take upon themselves, visiting the people, being the last person somebody talks to before they die, hearing this and that from people, it wears on them, and they don't really have the outlet because they are supposed to be the outlet.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people, on the other hand, they get into church and they start to see especially bigger churches, the ones with first in the name, they start to see some corruption, some hypocrisy, and some just, dirty business going on behind the scenes.
A lot of that, I'll say, like for me, a lot of that is just humans being humans. That's
for sure.
Everywhere.
Yeah, they're going to be.
It expresses itself in different forms, but that never challenged my faith so much as maybe other things. And then just ultimately not seeing anything deeper going on. I don't want to get too much into my into the philosophy and the theology.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, the burnout came from some other things, and some of it was things I saw. But again, a lot of that I attribute to just people being people. The good and the bad you have to take with that. A lot of the stuff you're talking about, I've seen a lot of fellow pastors get burnt out. I loved that stuff. I think I was still too early in the game to be burnt out by those sorts of stuff. That was the fun, especially I was working with teens and youth, and
not people on their deathbed.
Yeah, exactly. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and you're helping these kids in really critical years of their lives. And I felt like I still look back on those years as I genuinely think I made a difference for the better, even if I might have actually I probably made a worse. I was gonna joke like I might have screwed up their heads permanently in terms of what they believe, but they're good kids. So then I think back like my teen years, I was more radical. Ironically, I was more radical faith-wise in my teen years. So that if you want to ask me some embarrassing stories, we'd have to go back even further. But I don't know. So I'll say this too. Where I'm at now and how that carries forward. I mean, cumulative with all those early faith years leading up to Bible college, leading to ministry, that's about 13 years of my life. Right. So that doesn't just go away, regardless of what I believe now. It's a huge impact on who I am, on my values, on how I try to treat other people. Not my like how much has it influenced my beliefs? I don't know. But how much has it influenced my character? I'd like to think a lot. I'd like to think that's still something I aspire to or hold to. And then you see it in my books to different degrees, which can be interesting too. But I'll just say that, as far as who I am as a person, who I try to be, that was a foundation.
I was going to ask, like, how much did that influence your own writing? Especially
so probably less than some people suspect. Like. I don't want to. I would never single out a review or a comment that I like, but there was one individual in particular who I think, ironically, there was an element of my story, like especially Fall of Selvandrea. I have kind of these cultish monks in there, and because people know my past, they assume, oh, this is a big attack on religion, and so this was a particularly religious reader who got really offended. I'm like, I'm not attacking you guys at all. No, this was. I can promise you, not about you. But it's a little too late by the time they drop a review bomb on you. So just move on and laugh. But things like that.
The way you're interpreting it, maybe you shouldn't be angry at the author. Maybe you should be angry at yourself.
Look in the mirror.
Maybe, So, but it does keep me conscious. Like when I write religious elements into my stories, I'm very careful about avoiding caricatures and showing things as they are. But things as they are can also be pretty wild,
But it would also help, when you're effectively creating a religion in like a fancy setting or like that. In terms of how people manage faith, how they, you have an understanding of that, even if your own personal things may have changed, but you'd understand how people are affected by religion, how they behave, how they interact with it.
I had a lot more fun with that in this one, in the Father, Shadow, and Death. Yep. I'll say this right off the bat, like the main character, not me at all. But he is he's essentially an estranged single father and a former priest. So I kind of expect some people to be like, "Oh, is this?" And then they'll read the character, and he's a total bastard, messed up guy, and they're like, "Oh wow, Tim, you got some issues." And I'm like, "It's not me. It's not me." But I had a lot of fun. Like I really don't. It's set in the same world as the Fall of Selvandrea. But I really dive into the culture, including the religion of this one particular nation from his perspective. and none of it's not presented as just like purely relativistic, anything goes. It's like it's presented from the authentic perspective of a believer, but also encountering other things that challenge him. And it gives it's my first attempt at a deep dive using some of that past experience, where I try to create an authentic, this is what it feels like to be in this world of belief, in a world where, you know, there are steeples and catacombs and priesthoods and religious orders and all these different, and sects vying with each other for, you know, all the different politics and all the good and all the bad. You've got war, and you've got these priests coming in to help in the refugee camps, and like all these different dynamics, the good and the bad, the ugly and the true. It was a lot of fun. It was cool. My first real attempt, and I feel like I did it justice. I don't think someone religious would read it and say, how you judgmental, you know, you irreligious heathen. Like, yeah, just enjoy it, right? I think most people, regardless of where they come from, could enjoy it.
I feel like you could mistake some of the stuff that I have in here as a direct critique on religion and on spiritual things. But also I feel like I made an effort to portray actual faith, but I don't think I shined the prettiest light. There were some certain inspirations I came in with, and those I ran with. And I never prioritized, I don't know, the pros or the good thing or the good side of religion or faith or that kind of thing. And so I've got some buddies, as you might guess, being where I'm from, who've read it and they were like, you were really pissed off about this. Like, no, I was just inspired by something that I said. So I might have been inspired by the street preacher on whatever that cyberpunk movie is. And that's who Calderas became. And then there was just a religious lady who tells him, you're acting in the will of God, when in fact he's acting by her will. She's claiming that it's, you know, for whatever, and she's sending him out on missions, and he's like, I am a weapon of God, and he goes out to fight back the untamed.
Yeah,
I was a little mean, I guess, but there will be a story someday where I can pull a Brandon Sanderson, you know, and put more positive light on that sort of thing. Which on that, and I'll end in this little tangent with this. If y'all have seen the show Firefly, characters were written by Joss Whedon, who I gather is a atheist, and he did the character of Shepard, I think, very respectfully and not as a joke. And the same for Captain America in the Avengers movies.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, both are arguably Christian or well, at least, you know, religious, spiritual fellas. And he didn't make them into total straw man idiots.
Yeah.
Despite his own beliefs. And I thought that's a good role model of or a good example of how to step outside your own box, you know?
Yeah. The author who I would say that I have read, who blew me away with how well he did it in all of these regards, would actually be Robert Jordan in Wheel of Time. His depictions of political drama, spot on, but when it came to religious orders and sects and different beliefs colliding, the way he did the White Cloaks in particular, but there what was the other? There were a few others that collided, and he never really fully resolves things. He never really picks a side in some ways. By the time you get to the end and you don't really know, like, it's not a matter of who's totally in the right. Everyone's a little flawed, and there's you know, good being done, bad being done. There is still a sense of truth. There is what's real and what's not that determines a lot of the outcomes. But in terms of people being people, these systems of faith and belief and politics, they all collide. They all do, and that imperfection makes for a really compelling story, because sometimes, and that applies to storytelling too. You don't have to always close every loop you open, because it makes the world feel more lived in, more real. And it's kind of like that with faith. That's kind of how I see that when you're depicting it.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah. So I don't. We'll see if I ever aspire to that level of that I think that was something he really focused on in his writing to a degree that doesn't interest me as much. So I thought he nailed it. Is it what I want to do in my, like, even the extent to which I do it in this, probably the most I'll ever go.
Tell us about that book. It released 7 days ago.
Yeah, I mean, which is wild. Yeah, so that just released last Friday. So, you know, kind of like I said, it follows this former priest, failed father. It's fantasy horror, and he's more or less one of the only people alive who has witnessed this dark, malevolent force that is a threat directly to his people. His people are exiles that live in this capital city in this empire, and he's trying to save them. But he's also this kooky, broken, you know, failed guy that no one takes seriously. And he's very messed up in a lot of different ways, very egotistical, a very, very arrogant but broken man trying to save his people.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. So you've got elements of slasher horror, and you've got elements of cosmic supernatural horror, and then the politics and the cataclysms and things happen. It gets wild, but
I like the idea of somebody who witnesses a thing and nobody else did, and he has to. Yeah. Guys, you got to listen to me.
Yeah, and because they know him, you know, and it's not just that; it's that the thing he witnessed is part of what broke him. So it makes it that, like, it's that much hard to communicate it to others because it is the thing that messed him up.
He's the local crazy guy.
Yeah, so it's very fun. He was such a fun character to write. Like, I probably the most fun character. Maybe the exception would be Rinwen in the Fall of Selvandrea. Whenever I bring her in and writing from the perspective, actually she makes an appearance in this too. So for anyone who liked, but imagine that. So I'm depicting this cheerful, giddy, ADHD 8-year-old little girl, but she makes a very big appearance in this like cosmic slasher horror. So that was fun too.
Cool.
Anyways, yeah. But I don't know, writing a flawed character like this, really bringing together. Probably, I'll never, you know, base one character on one person in real life, but I will blend together characteristics. Yeah. Right? And this is that. Same. This guy, Braddock to Zane, is the accumulation or the you know, just the blend of probably 6 or 7 people I've, like, men in a certain age range that I've known and observed, some that I consider role models, some that I consider just total nut bars, you know, and diving into their headspace because I've seen these commonalities in their lives that have led them to certain destinations. You know, like really broken. I'll say that broken, but finding the beauty in the broken, but also then trying to get into the headspace of the really messed up and the really almost scarily arrogant and horrible, and blending that into this single character. So some people are going to love him, and that's what I've seen. And those reviewers have been like, why are you so mean to this guy? Like, please stop, you know? And then others are like, yes, I wish it was worse for him. So you'll have him, depending on who you are and what you've experienced in life. Some people will love this guy. Some people will hate his guts.
I'm looking forward to seeing which camp I fall into then.
Yeah.
I'll be right back, guys. I'm sorry.
Cool. Yeah.
That's the best kind of character, though. Like the really polarizing. Like it's still a great character, whether you hate them or not.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I worried that, like, writing this guy, I really worried that everyone would just hate him and that it would ruin the book for people. And I've had enough people be like, "Oh my gosh, this is good." I'm like, "Okay, phew." It's just okay, you know, safe zone, because I this had to be who this character was, and it's also vital to, like, this is a prequel to the Fall of Selvandrea. It's a horror story, so it's different genre to an extent, but it's the same world and it acts as a prequel. So I knew who this character had to be because he has a very pivotal effect on the story to come. So kind of like there were decisions I had to stick to, and it meant like it makes this guy a little more hateable at times, but then there are elements of him where you're like, okay, no, I get it. I really do. And I hope people will. I'm not trying to create empathy for his terrible decisions or some of his major character flaws, right? But I am trying to get into his headspace, and I think there's something to be taken from that. Not approval per se, but Yeah.
I absolutely love writing characters that are awful. I love it. I don't really know what that says about me, but writing kind of bigoted, narrow-minded, horrendous creatures, I really, really get off on the writing, because I don't know if it's because it's kind of so opposite of me that I can really go for it. I don't know.
I didn't think
punish them.
Sorry.
DB, do you punish them when you're like, oh, he's going to pay for this, or do you just let them be?
I don't think. I think I like to write them having some charm, but also the underlying
filth
rot of whatever it is. I like that to shine as well, because they're not ashamed of it, because that's them. They believe in it.
I like the idea of that.
Playing around with that kind of idea of, I might think that trait is awful, but they don't, because that is what they feel like. That's what they,
that's who they are.
Yeah.
Well, I think 100%. It's been like, we've had that discussion, I think, when we were talking to PL Stewart, was that sort of, those really bad people, they don't see themselves as bad guys.
No, of course, no.
Yeah, most of those, and those characters you're describing, in their minds, that's perfectly justifiable for their ends or for their purposes or whatever it is, and they're not sitting there going, "Oh, I'm going to be evil today,"
No.
I'm doing what's right for me or to get my agenda, and they're just certain ones are willing to squash others in the process. I guess.
Yeah. Because they feel so passionately about their agenda,
Yeah.
whether it's right or wrong. Yeah. And I guess if we're talking fantasy, and if I was going to write my own personality into a character, it'd probably be a pretty dull.
I learned that my very first book.
Let's not
a good question.
Let's just have a nice chat. And does anybody want a cup of tea?
This beer's pretty good. Okay, there's a good question for all the authors in the room. If you're putting yourself into one of your books, and it has to be your book, what character or what would you be?
Cannon fodder, probably.
Yeah. We're being realistic. I'm dead. I'm already gone.
Yeah. I would last 5 seconds in all of your books. It's like, I know I would have a sort of a momentarily. I have been named in the character book, and I was killed very quickly. I said, yes, that's accurate.
I killed my best friend on page 2 of my first book. So yeah, that's just what I do.
Go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
Oh no, I mean that was just it. Yeah, if I have inserted for fun some twists on friends' names or things like that, and they usually die. Although, same best friend, his brother-in-law, I've now made him a main character in book 2, and he is literally the source and heart of all evil. It's really satisfying. Yeah. He's just the biggest bastard on the planet. It's really fun to write.
I take it you do get on with this person.
I love him. No, we're great. So that's what's so fun about it. I'm just trolling him the entire time in my own book. And so far, the people I've shown those chapters, they're like, wow, this guy's really, he's a fun character, but he's also just a bastard. And it's really satisfying. So I can't wait to show it to him once I'm done. Yeah.
There were some I wrote this, published in 2013, the one that some professional authors who say burn your first book, that's this one. This is why I unpublished it. I would love to revamp it and re-release it someday, but I did. The 4 main characters were very kind of obviously based on some friends of mine, and one of them has and I'm only telling y'all this because I know none of those guys are watching this shit, but one of them did. But one of them's dad was a farmer. He wished he would take over the farm. The kid has no interest in the farm. There's this kind of bitter relationship going on. The farmer in the book's name is Stavy. The dude's dad name in real life is Stevie. This is how closely I'm mirrored real life.
Too much. Yeah.
But now everybody calls him in real life, and all my buddies, they've not read this, but we all call Stevie Stavy now, and he's not half the asshole he is in the book.
That's funny.
In real life, but we all call him Stavy.
I'll get to you about my friend David B. List. No relation.
I mean, it was shameless, and it was yeah.
Yeah.
I need to write good Charlie Cavan Bowl next.
Listen, I just found a character named Kevinder from a previous draft. It has to be a twist of Cavendish, and then I found a physical description of him, and it strikes a little close to home. I don't think I'm going to change it. I don't want to tell you yet who he is, what he did, or what's going to become of him, Charlie. You'll find that out when you read it eventually.
Okay. Can there be venomous snakes involved?
Not a bad idea. Maybe snakes made of fire. I think is a little.
As long as he's not doing anything inappropriate to a horse, that's probably
like putting a grenade in a horse, shooting a grenade in a horse. No, I'm gonna leave that to Ace, to a character specifically named AC Cross. Verbatim.
That's all AC Cross. That's just classic.
Lacey Cross.
Lacey Cross. Veterinarian. Yeah, I can't speak.
Yeah, I don't know. Beyond those little throwaways for where I've had fun, and I've rooted those characters in some personality traits from the friends in question. But otherwise, I've always been careful in terms of any one person, especially when it's negative. I'll never base it on just one person. Inserting myself, like there's the priest, the former priest one that I had fun with, and that really I had a lot of fun with that character. Otherwise, times where I've introduced myself, like minimal. Same thing where it was probably, if I was more guilty of it, it would have been with part 1 of book 1. There's a little bit thrown in there for sure that I can pinpoint exactly where. And I'm like, did that add? Yeah, that added. But it's in a context where I could have done a lot different. Like, not so much that I guess I technically already did unpublish it, but then I put it back up because I'm a stubborn bastard. So
yeah, and words are hard to come by, dude. Just unpublishing a thing that's painful.
Hard. Yeah. It's I have no regrets doing it. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I took it down and put it back up in a better form. But it was a big risk at the time. Like, I was nervous. I thought, is this? It's like, I knew I could do better, and I did better. But and even then, now I look back, even on Fall of Selvandrea, and I was like, I know where I know where I have improved, and you just keep going forward, right? You'll get depressed if you just say, wow, well, what should I don't know. Like, you can second guess yourself till kingdom come. Unintended. Anyways, you just go forward.
True.
Yeah. But all that to say, I don't think I'm, other than those like small little snippets, you won't find much of me in my stories from that point forward. I had more
Tim
fun.
the Enchanter. Oh no, that's the guy from Monty Python.
Monty Python, yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
So DBA powerful throw.
So good. I love that was improvised too. It makes the story so much better. Just there's some who call me Tim.
Yeah, that's I want fancy session, and here comes Kevin the Terrible. It's like there's probably a limit to how many names you could introduce without ruining the vibe.
Yeah, that's a tough one too, though. Is naming places and characters and nations. Yeah. Anyways, it's fun. But there are a lot of traps you can fall into. So even there, I've tried to improve. But
I'm at the point where I've got a style sheet for the characters, and it's in alphabetical order, and so I'll just look for gaps. Oh, I've not started a name with you. Well, here comes Ulia, or something like that. Sometimes a name just comes to me and it's perfect. But then, and it came to me beforehand. But then sometimes I don't have a name, and I've told this on here before. But there's a character called Loran, Loran. Okay. He's not even a minimal character. He's a point of view character for one scene, and he dies. Spoiler. Loran it's short for low ranking soldier. That's who he is, and that's what he is, and that's how he dies.
That's great.
He's wearing a red shirt.
He may as well be wearing a red shirt.
That's so
Justice
good.
for Loran.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's really good. I told this story before, so I won't give prolonged version of it. But like two other characters that were based on a real encounter are the two old guys in The Fall of Selvandrea, Jetha and Canna. And I'm pretty sure their names were John and Ken. So I slightly tweaked their name and just had fun with it because it was such a unique encounter in real life where I'm just at a cafe and these two old guys sit next to me and start running their mouths off and just being ridiculous. And I was like, okay, you guys are going in my book because I just happened to be writing it at the time. And now I give them even more screen time, so to speak, in book 2 because I'm like, the number one rule is they have to appear at least once in every part of every book.
Yeah, they're going to be your dripping bucket. Yeah, they're going to
exactly.
I was going to ask, do you feature a dripping bucket in any of your stories, or
in Fall of Selvandrea? They are. Does anything cross over all? Probably not. There are tie-ins, but I don't have any one specific thing that crosses through all of them. Yeah, not yet. Maybe future books. Yeah.
We're going to be devouring through him. Come on, they're here somewhere.
Yeah.
There's on character names and character occupations. A lot of the Final Fantasy games have a mechanic or a tinkerer or a pilot called Cedric. I think he's definitely in 4. He's definitely in 7.
There's always a Biggs and a Wedge as well.
There is. And those are based on Star Wars. Those are based on characters who were X-Wing fighters. But so if I ever feature a Cedric, he's a tinkerer. He's probably an engineer or an architect or something. And there definitely is one in V&V book 2. And that's just my little homage to Final Fantasy, which I love.
Yeah. I have a few little homage things that I've thrown in that I don't expect anyone to catch. But
yeah, I think it's kind of best when they don't, unless it's just like maybe 1% of readers who are like, was this? And you're like, yes, finally, one person.
I have it set up so I can't explain it because one, it would spoiler, and 2, it's more really for mine. It's kind of the same thing where if someone eventually discovers it, great. But there are like Skfold, very much its own world, totally separate from the world of the Father Shadow and Death and the Fall of Selvandrea. But there is actually a massive tie-in built in. And I built it in all the way back in the Fall of Selvandrea because I was already starting to imagine the story back then. And I technically wrote chapter 1 of a new book. And then I realized, no, this is too late. I want to write stuff that happens before this. So that's what became Skfold. I had that chapter written. It was great. I showed some people. I got feedback. I was already refining. And I was like, I'm going to put this on hold. I'm going to write.
It's the wrong point of the story.
So this is technically a prequel, not just a standalone novella, like fantasy heist adventure kind of thing.
I think I saw you talk about that on Twitter. I think I saw you were like, I paused and accidentally wrote a whole book or something like that.
Kind of, I mean, like I took a pause from the sequel to the Fall of Selvandrea, and I was in this space. I was having a hard time getting back into it, and then I knew Sphinx was right around the corner. I was just like, I feel like writing this, so I'm just doing it. I don't care anymore. I'm just doing it. And a month later, I had the draft done. So
awesome.
Yeah,
that's pretty much exactly the same story as me with the Residuum. I just kind of fancied the break.
Yeah,
fancy writing.
I can remember it.
Sure, yeah.
Davey, I remember when you emailed me. So yeah, it's good. But I can remember when you emailed me a message me, so I'm writing something else. I was like, yeah, go for it. And it was great.
Yeah.
I feel like it's healthy. If your brain is calling out to you to do a thing, and you're trying to punish yourself. No, I have to do this. I have to, especially with creativity.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's best to grab the tail of the tiger and let him take you where he's going, or whatever the phrase may be.
Well,
there are a lot of people who will say not to do that, though, and that's the thing. And I think the only thing that kept me from writing that sooner was that there's so many people who are saying, "You finish what you start. Finish what you start." I've already done that 3 times technically. Andrea. So you know what? Yeah. I trust myself at this point, and that's why at some point I just got impatient. I was like, I'm doing it. 0 regrets. I think it was the best decision I could have made for my writing.
Cool. Yeah. Plus, I would imagine you were more refreshed when you return.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Jasper, thanks for joining us. And by the way, I read your comments. I didn't respond to all your comments, but we appreciate you.
I mean, like, finish what you start is such a Steve thing to say. God damn it, Steve. Shut the fuck up.
Shut up.
Tell us about Steve.
We said earlier, didn't we, about indies, and that is the freedom of being indie. You can do
whatever you want.
Yeah. I've not written as you guys have done, but I would imagine that, you know, if you've got, as you said, Dave, if you've got that urge, you've got a thing, you got to run with it. I mean, obviously, if you're not doing that countless times and not making any progress,
that's finishing,
that's counterintuitive. But at the same time, I imagine your writing's getting better because you're doing it more, you're practicing. It's not necessarily wasted.
Yeah,
but
technically, I did it twice. So because I did that, and then
I was trying to help you here, Tim, but no.
I'm just going to keep, shoveling this hole deeper, right? Because that's what it's just how it happened. I followed the urge, loved it. I was experimenting with a new style that I really wanted to try. Found out I love this. I can't go back. It's just now it's ingrained. And then part of the reason I wrote it, right, was to map out the world for that next series. And I realized I want to do that for the Fall of Selvandrea, because there's this it's set mostly in a location that the main story is going to come back to eventually. So I thought I have to map this out eventually anyway. And I hate world building just for its own sake, like filling a document with things that will never make it into a story that bores me to death.
I wish I hated doing that. God, I love fucking doing that.
I know some people do. That's not. I love building worlds, but I like doing it as I write. I really do. So
much
this was the way to do it for me. Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing, is I got a new novel out of it. So best of both worlds. Now I'm prepped for book 3, and I've added a lot of depth and richness to the world, and it gave me a boost to go back into the sequel. So I finally did once I finished that. And then life blew up. So I haven't written in a month again because I was just so damn busy. But next week, once I'm done editing the audiobook for The Father of Shadow and Death, which I'm on the last chapter, that'll be done by the end of the weekend, I hope. And then I am full tilt ahead into that dumb sequel, so I can finally get it done.
Yeah.
How many hours will you narrate in a day, in a work day?
I mean, I intentionally do not stretch my voice too far. Kudos to the people who can make it a full thing, but I mean, one, it's not my primary source of income anyway, but I'll dedicate probably 3 hours to it. But I mean, and that depends on chapter length, but that's probably 3 to max 5 chapters that I'll get done in that period. A few different takes, clipping and blah, blah, blah. And then, that's about it. I won't stretch myself past a certain point because your voice just starts to go no matter how many things you do.
Yeah.
And you don't want your voice to sound too different between chapters. So yeah. So right now with I'm redoing the Fall of Selvandrea at a slower pace, which I don't even have to try at this point. It just happens naturally. I'm a lot slower than I was when I started out, and I have some pronunciation corrections I'm making, so that's good. It's going to be better quality on about 10 different levels. Also because I have new equipment and better software. So I think it's worth it. But right now, 3 chapters a day, it's an 87 chapter book, 170,000 words. So I think every chapter so far has become at least, I think on the short, about 45 seconds longer, or longer chapters, 1 to 2 minutes. It's going to be at least an hour and a half longer, probably closer to 2.5. So that takes it from about 17 hours to 19 or even 19 and a half hours. And I'm redoing the whole damn thing. This is technically the 3rd time I've done that audiobook. So
you must like
it. A recurring theme in your work is the do-over.
Do it over. Yeah, I mean, that's how you learn, right? It's
yeah.
No, I don't know. To me, it's just I like the story enough that I don't mind rereading it, and it's a chance to get back into that world too, so that when I start the sequel again, next week, I'm back in it. Yeah. So
awesome.
It's a lot of work, but I mean, I do have the time to a point. One, I'm obsessive and I just go at it till I drop. And right now my whole world just revolves around book stuff. I'm either judging for story competitions, I'm editing for other authors, or I'm teaching at the college. And that's teaching writing. So I'm always in that headspace. So if I'm not doing it, something feels wrong, Probably need a break at some point, but I'll get all the sleep I need when I'm dead.
Breaks are good for me if I mentioned earlier, or like on Twitter, I think that for 3 days this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I wrote the same scene. I have in the draft I'm working on, I guess there's maybe 7 scenes that are super tricky that are giving me problems. And so now they're the only thing left. They're the last bosses in this particular endeavor. And so I'm trying to do them in order because I got my test reader set up and he's like, where's the book? Where's the book? Which helps me. But I'm like, I need to finish scene 4. So I wrote it Monday. I don't know how many words I wrote. I got to a point where, the typing just kind of continuously slows down further and further. And suddenly you're like, this is fucking shit. And so you throw it into notes, worst case, or you try to like save what you can. Well, by Wednesday, my notes for that one chapter were at 9,000 words. And I was feeling very buried by it. And I couldn't write yesterday. I was going off to tune a piano and I had to went to the dentist to get a thing filled. But in that time off, I was like, okay, stop treating all these notes like they're gold, like they're gospel. I don't need them. Let's just approach this thing blind, write it slightly different way, slightly deviate something. And so today I got back into it with a fresher headspace after the break that was yesterday. And it really helped.
Yeah. That happens for me. What it usually looks like for me is I write in my mornings. Editing work, judging work, or teaching is usually afternoons and nights. And then late night is kind of my prime time for creativity. So I'll brainstorm, I'll jot down some quick notes in the chapter file or in my notes. And then I'll come back in the next morning ready to go. And then sometimes I'll have to just take that morning off because I can, like, same thing where you're getting to that point where you're adding, like, you're taking an hour to add 50 words.
Yeah.
And they're trash. So you're just like, okay, something's wrong. Something I haven't, and then usually kind of the same thing. It'll be like scrapping all these notes because it's just too much cluttering me. And usually that's exactly when it just flows, like you have to have put in the work. You have to earn the flow with those notes and then scrap them for whatever reason. It doesn't work. Yeah.
Definitely the kill your darling thing. You can't be afraid to, but it's 2,000 words. It's a day wasted. No, just set them. Don't hit delete. Throw them over in the note file.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brains are funny.
And I solve it typically. I solve this kind of conundrum far from a computer screen. In fact, like you said, my creativity, like I'm away from a screen. When the best creativity hits, I'm either pacing or I'm cutting grass or I'm tuning or I'm just doing something mindless, hauling a kayak up a hill, looking at a cool vista or whatever. And then I'm like, well, what about this? And then I start running with it,
Yeah. Didn't you just solve something tuning a grand piano like yesterday?
It was yesterday. That was the one. I was tuning this dude's piano. It was very cool. Yeah. There's pros and cons to tuning a grand piano, but you don't have to take it apart. But yeah, I was like, this is actually a lot simpler because I had like 3 POV swaps in a scene and it was not an action scene. And I had just done a kind of hilarious POV swap back, forth that leads into this horrible conflict, horrible, hilarious, tragic, exciting conflict. And so now slow it the fuck down, like just calm the hell down, it was, the idea is simplify this. Let's, catch our breath, simple scene, but it's 3 characters who never meet in here. And I've known they were going to, for 10 years, I've known these guys were going to meet. And I've got notes on how it goes down and what they say to each other, especially regarding grief, lessons I've learned about grief in my life that I found to be perfect for this. And so I'm trying to make this one scene do a billion things. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I know now the characters, they have a life of their own. And so none of them were behaving and I was like, this is not what he wouldn't do that. And she's too smart to do that. And he's too self-loathing to do this. And he doesn't care. So came from it from a different direction.
Yeah. Funny note on lessons learned and going back to my pastor past. I think I was so self-conscious about that when I started writing, and this carried all the way through Fall of Selvandrea. So not even just the first 2 attempts, all the way through Fall of Selvandrea. Like there was a very conscious attempt on my part to not be a pastor, to not preach through my story, to have fun, to give a good, entertaining story, have some, there's some depth in there. There's some but I was going for complex, but not philosophical. It wasn't meant to beat you over the head with any ideas. It was meant to feel like a very lived-in world, and you're experiencing a story in it. And I realized very quickly from feedback, especially since publishing The Fall of Selvandrea, even more than parts 1 and 2, no, people want that shit. Like they don't want to be preached at, but they do want lessons, and they do want principles, they do want value,
something real.
Yeah. And so I realized that there are ways in which I was very self-censoring and very hesitant as an author with book 1. And Skfold was my first attempt to just say, screw that, because clearly people love this stuff. Because I was seeing it in like some authors that I've even been working with over the last year. I was like, oh, I see why people love your stuff, and it's loaded with this stuff that I tried not to do. Well, screw this, because I have stuff to say,
Yeah.
And sure enough, the feedback shows it, even just with Skfold. It's like, okay, no, this seems to actually strike a chord. I'm not preaching the Bible, or I'm adding some depth and some richness and some values.
Something that transcends the book.
Exactly.
A sentence or a point or a theme or a lesson or an idea that transcends the book and the genre.
Yeah.
I like searching for that.
Yeah. So which is another area where I'm like, damn, because I can't go back from, I like, so now I'm writing the sequel and it has more of that, but you want it to still feel like the same world. And if someone really enjoyed the absence of that in book 1, is that going to put them off in book 2, right? Like, I don't know. I'll just do my thing. And
you got to write for you. You got to.
I'm going to write the book you want, and people will follow. I think. Yeah.
So I think most readers are going to be like, this feels like a step up. Hopefully.
That's what I'm hoping. With mine,
looking forward to it.
Fingers
whatever
crossed.
style differences.
Waiting our appetites. So yeah.
Oh man. Well, I mean, how are we doing?
Well, I know we're getting later in the UK.
It's fine for me because it's only mid-morning, so
True. You can always tell, like when me and DB first start, we're like, we're so excited. And it really reaches like hour and a half mark.
Starting to slump a little.
Let's let the other guys talk for a while. No, we could go on for like another 2 hours and just conscious of time. I suppose, and it's appropriate if we sort of gear towards like the final question. And the 2 final questions we normally ask. I can't decide which is like the right one for Tim, but because he seems so nice and he's so like popular on social media, I do want to ask Tim.
Yes, I think we know which one you have to ask.
I do too.
I do.
Yeah.
If you could choose any author, live or dead, for your Rage in a Cage match, who's it going to be?
Oh, like I get to face off again.
Oh yeah, fight to the end. Death.
No holds barred.
Within an inch of their life. Let's be.
Yes. Yeah. Don't want to end their sequel.
Okay. Alive or dead?
Unless they're dead, in which case you can't kill them again.
Yeah, so that would no, but we can bring them back just for this purpose.
Yeah.
They deserve a double beating. Oh, that's tough. I gotta have some fun with. Okay, who's someone I know? Let's go fellow indie. There's probably a few fellow indies I could have a good tussle with.
I'm surprised not many people say Joe Byrne. I reckon he'd be fine in the cage match.
No, he's got martial arts background.
Yeah.
So do I. I could take.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Look, Tim, a lot of us chose people who would whoop our asses. Well, like I chose Empire the Vampire, Jay Kristoff, who's
okay.
6 million and would probably just step on me.
You've got a challenger.
Who was okay, that could be fun. It was Jay. No, you know who it would be, just because he would kick my ass, but it would be fun, to experience. I think J.R. White. I want to say, I think Let me double check that. But because he was saying he was an MMA fighter before, like he was a paid fight. Yeah, it's J.R. White. Yeah. So he would kick my ass, but that would be fun because I mean, I kind of that was years ago. Like that was before my pastor days. So I'm talking like late teens, fighting like kickboxing competitive.
Oh, nice.
Back in the day, cool. Yeah. So that was fun. But I'm so out of shape and so out of practice that like any trained fighter would just kick my ass. But I mean, I miss it. It was
fun. No one's picked Nick Horvath yet from Sledge.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, you know what? Okay, sorry, correction. Horvath all the way. I
feel like that would hurt. Yeah. That would make you hurt.
Yeah. When we were talking about writing yourself,
the reach that he'd have would be enormous. So you know.
Yeah, I think Nick quite literally wrote it himself.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, the ultimate.
Yeah, I think so.
I have a sledge. I don't know if I might. Oh, I've said it online, but it was a while ago. I wrote that chapter, but I have a sledge tribute in the sequel, like an entire character. Yeah, and he's a spin-off. Like the name is like Sledge's technical name is Einar Lokarin, and I think my character's name is Einith Lokanen. Yeah, I have to go back.
Nice.
But like, and I showed it to him. I got him to read it. I got it. You know, anyways, nice. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My story in the Book of Spores, the anthology, it's also a tribute to Sledge, but it's like mushroom Sledge.
That's awesome.
And also like it's really obscure film. Do you guys remember like Hardcore Henry?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was a trip.
Yeah. I love that film.
God, that's nuts. That's a present tense film right there.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah. If you want like the film definition of present tense.
Yeah, dude.
Hardcore Henry.
I know some people disagree with this or just don't like these films, but I do like first person films, and I also like found footage. I really do. It done well. I really like
Blair Witch type stuff.
Yeah. Or like Chronicle, if you've seen Chronicle.
Yep. Cloverfield also.
Yeah.
Between
those are good movies. I love them. I don't know why. I just do. Anyways.
We like our films in the present tense.
Let's clip it right there.
It would probably be first person, not to ruin this whole theme, but I think it would probably be first person versus third would be more for Hardcore Henry and the others.
Yeah. I see, yeah.
Well, look, Tim, we could keep going on. There's so much more like we needed to ask you. We just run out of time. You're an interesting guy.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me on. This was a blast.
Get you on.
Good.
Yeah. It feels like it's been a really long. Yeah. It's been a long time coming, it feels.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, I think I usually it's just the way life is right now that I usually have, or one, I have all these awesome channels like you guys on subscribe, and I kind of just try to stay alert and try to catch them when I can. This is just fun to see. It's fun to, have friends in the author space. It's great for learning because I'm still learning. So to me, this is almost one of the number one tools out there for learning as a new author is seeing what other authors are doing and, connecting and just having fun in the community. So like I've been following you guys since day one and seeing you guys on all the different shows since before that. Like it's been fun. So yeah,
we appreciate you. If no one said so directly, we appreciate you commenting and always, and not every single episode, but always showing up, and saying
do my best. Yeah. Cheers. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I think I did actually, Tim, you might have been when I had my big reveal one. I think you were in the comments.
I remember. Because I think you hinted at it to me separately, but you didn't actually say. Yeah. So then when you appeared, I was like, wait, what? Where's the beard? It was great.
Misdirect.
That was very cool. Yeah. I remember. I was definitely there for that.
Beardless beardsman.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, just before we go, Tim, like obviously tell us like where can we find you? What books do we need to look out for?
Yeah.
I mean, right now the main book to grab is the Father of Shadow and Death. It's a nice 236 pages, so nice and easy read. Just brace yourself, as you've probably heard anyone listening to this today. Brace yourself, but it's a goodie. Where to find me? I have a link tree. You can find that on my X profile, or I think it's what I have now linked on Instagram. most places, Tim McKay 52. I'm on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, all of the above. You can find me easily enough. Yeah. I spend most of my social time on X just because it's easy in writing and most people are there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not my yeah. It's maybe more drama filled than other places, but where people are. So yeah, I just try to stay away from that where I can.
Yeah.
Me too. We do too.
Yeah. What can you do? Social media. I knew getting in that social media was going to be a interesting experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. You bite the bullet and you make friends and you just try to have a good time.
You gotta try ignore the shit and focus on the positive. There are positives there, but yeah, it can get lost sometimes.
Yeah.
As always, thank you for watching, everyone. You watched live. The comments were busy today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, very fun. Yeah.
Everyone who joined us. Yeah.
Yeah. And until next time, we're back. Not next week.
We are back on the. Hang on. We are back on the 29th.
29th. And that's with Beth Tabler.
And then we've got our Christmas special on the 12th of December. So hopefully John has got something special planned for that.
Yeah. Oh, yes, DB does.
My sparkly bow tie.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, good night, good morning, good middle of the day, and we'll see you again.
Everyone.
Cheers all.
Cheers.
You've been listening to the Four Beardsmen of the Book Apocalypse. Like, share, and subscribe for more.